All right, today we got Guerin Rife back again at the facility. Welcome back, great to see you.
Good to see you.
For those that missed the first video we did, I highly recommend going back and watching it. It's the beginning of Groove Tech, and it's just a really cool story about how Groove Tech got started. And now we're on to Evnroll, the evolution of the Groove Tech, and really I think where it has reached its maximum potential, not only for Evnroll, but to help golfers shoot lower scores. And that being said, we're going to show you the new 2019 line of Evnroll putters, and make sure to subscribe and comment in order to be entered to win one of the new models. So before we get started on really in depth into each individual Evnroll model, let's go back to the beginning when Evnroll was first being founded, before there was a name Evnroll probably or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were screwing around with grooves and that aha moment, and what that was like when, you know, for those that don't know, Evnroll technology basically helps control distance control and accuracy control for mishits on the putter, okay? But it all started somewhere, and I think it's a really interesting fact of how it got started. So right now, I'd love for you to explain to everybody that kind of aha moment that you had with the Evnroll putter tech and how it came about.
Okay, so before the aha moment, there was the knowledge that I gained on tour years ago with my roll groove technology on the Rife putters, that when I would hand it to tour players, they would always turn around and say the ball didn't go as far as I thought it was going to go. I'm not getting it to the hole.
Yeah. And
that was just consistent. Every single person who tried it said it's just really soft. And so I knew over time people just hit it harder and they got used to it. Like any putters are different, and they have different amounts of energy transfer or spring effect, whether it's polymer or solid milled face. And so I knew that the large groove space on the face and the small contact surface is the reason why the ball's not going as far.
Yeah.
It's less energy transfer.
Correct. So
the aha moment you're talking about is when I started seeing some of the industry start focusing on distance control off a putter face. And I said, well, I know what will really solve that problem. More contact surface where the putter's weaker, because off center is a mishit. And you don't have the center of mass directly behind the center of the ball's mass.
Yeah, so to explain that in driver terms, so when you mishit, let's say you're hitting your driver and you hit it off the toe or heel, to exaggerate it, it's almost
smash factor.
Correct. So it's smash factor for putters is basically the same thing.
Or impact ratio is what we call it.
Correct. So when you mishit on a putter, smash factor goes down on the heel and toe.
Right.
This keeps smash factor more consistent. This keeps smash factor more consistent across the entire face. Would you agree?
Yes. Well, actually, it's, on the Quintech, since this is something that happened after I did after I did all the robot testing on the Quintech, which is a ball roll analysis system. I think it's the gold standard. It gives you the impact ratio numbers, which is the smash factor for putters, and it's usually about 1.7 on the center of a putter because it's more mass, so it's higher than a driver or iron or wood. And as you go about a ½ inch to up to about 3/4 of an inch off center, it drops about 5 to 7 or 8% less energy.
Yeah.
And so that number of 170 will drop down to say 158 on a Quintech machine. It's just a camera-based system that's checking everything out at very high speed.
It's a launch monitor for putters.
It's a launch monitor for putters, right? Exactly. So, but this is something I found out later.
Correct.
Okay.
So backing up
happening?
to that aha moment that I'm referring to, and I would love for you to kind of explain people, if you haven't watched the robot video on the Evnroll site, it's one that we get emailed quite a bit. You know, they think that we're crazy because this can't possibly be true. When you go watch the videos on Evnroll, there's robot testing to kind of show you.
It's live, not edited.
Correct. How this kind of keeps the ball distance control exactly the way you want, and directional control, it kind of redirects back towards the center.
Sure.
Okay. So your aha moment was actually when you had cut the first grooves and actually had the balls cross over And that was kind of the aha moment that I remember, correct?
Well, what I was trying to achieve was getting him to go the same distance.
Correct.
By putting more contact surface away from the center progressively, so that the further you hit it off center, the more energy loss, so you had to replace more energy. So more contact surface away from the center, and the grooves got smaller and the contact surface got greater.
Yeah.
But in the middle, the grooves are really wide and they're very close together, so there's a lot less contact surface touching the ball. That's the basis of the technology. But when I first did this, sometimes you want to overprove the concept when you start out. And I had these big wide grooves in the middle, and they tapered real quick, and there was lots of contact surface real quick. And so what happened in my robot testing was, yes, the outside hits were going not only as far, we're going further than the center hits.
So think about that, just from a
average golfer, wow, that works. That's
average
cool.
golfer standpoint. If you actually miss hit the ball, which you would usually lose distance on your putt, this was going farther because it was transferring more energy on the miss hits than it was on center strikes. So you kind of knew you were onto something.
I knew I was onto something, but every invention, you get a gift. If you're in there just doing stuff, I had a gift because I didn't. The gift that came to me was that the balls crossed.
Correct.
Well, I didn't plan on that. I had no idea what was going on there. That wasn't like an invention. The aha moment was after I saw it and I figured out why. So that V shape was too wide. And so when you hit this V right here, the ball was going to the open area.
Correct.
Well, it was going too much. It was crossing over this. Instead of going away from the center, it was going past the center.
So it's Caddyshack for 2018.
The toe was pulling it too far, and the heel was pushing it too far. So by tightening that little V shape, this had less contact, less influence that way, and so it just took away that little movement away from the center. So I just had to remill a couple times until I found the right combination of taper of the grooves. So then the end result was the distance control was the same, and I had this little gift of having it redirect the ball slightly back towards the center. So the off-center movement away on mishits was corrected. It was just kind of redirected center. So everything ended up in the same spot.
How did that feel at the moment you saw them cross over and inside your own self when you saw that?
Well, I mean, I'm doing this in an empty office, in my office complex with my robot, and actually Dennis Paulson was helping me at the time, and the balls would end up in a distance where you could put like a dozen. This is 25 feet. You could take the top to a dozen golf balls, and you could put it over the ball. And he was like, "I've never seen anything like that."
You knew you were onto something, huh?
Sure. But I mean, thousands of rolls. I mean, lots of testing. And then the carpet wouldn't be right, or you'd have to get, the balls wouldn't be the same, and you had to find 3 balls identical, spin them, find the center of mass, then you had dimples where you had to find a spot where the dimple was in the middle of the line that you drew on the ball. You had a robot with a magnetic release for the arm, so there's no human factor. There was just a million little factors that you finally have to get down.
Yeah, you had to reduce all the variables.
You're kind of chasing your tail.
Yeah.
And you finally found a spot where, okay, now everything is fine. And you keep getting these consistent results.
Yeah.
And then you put the other one back on after the same, all that stuff in order, and it kept doing the same thing, going away from the center.
It's got to be a cool feeling though, from a putter designer that is focused on grooves so much your almost entire putter designing career.
Well, I just went with logic. It just more contact surface means that's what was going on.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, still, even then, to be where you were at the time and see that happen, those don't happen. You only get 3 or 4 of those your whole life.
Oh no, I was going, thank you. I was very happy, and I said, okay, this is going to get serious.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because when we first
and don't muck it up with a bunch of goofy designs.
Yeah, when I first talked to you, you said, hey, I think I'm onto something. And you said, I want to be included in the test, for Most Wanted. And, I said,
I was too late.
Yeah, you were too late. So I said, Guerin, the only way you're going to be included at all in any test is if you go up against every putter that's won over the last few years. And if you're willing to do that, we're willing to put you in the test,
Yeah.
And you said,
Well, I said I had to think about it. I said I had to talk to my partner, and this was either going to be real good or real bad.
Well, that's what we told you. I said the data is going to be what the data is going to be.
I know, and so we talked about it and said, look, let's just let it roll.
But look, at the end of the day, our job is to help educate and empower consumers, right? And that is to make better purchases and more informed purchases to help make more fun out of their game and lower their score. This is one of the rare products that we see where we test everything based on strokes gained. So we know if this putter and that putter, if you change from this putter to that putter, how much does that drop your score? How much does that affect your actual round score based on how we do our testing? It is one of the few products in the years that I've been doing testing where you can see a definitive drop in score, which once again goes back to your first putter, the True Blue, and how much resistance that led to, right, based on consumers.
Sure.
We hit publish on that, and instantly people said a million things. Either we had sold out, or that this couldn't work.
It won.
Correct.
Yeah, I sent you all 4 putters.
And they all won.
And you went and you tested them against the #1 blade and the #1 mallet.
That's correct. And a mallet that had won 3 years, I think, in a row, at least the technology that had.
Right.
And
when you teased me a little bit when you called.
Well, I said it blew the doors off of everything we had ever tested.
Eventually, you told me that. You set me up for a little bit. But anyway, but it won. So it was obviously not the putter design.
No,
it was the technology.
Correct. It didn't matter which model that we tested.
Right.
The tech was the same in all. The model changed, and there was some scoring change that I think was based on maybe stroke type or the shape of the putter for the individual tester. But at the end of the day, all 4 putters, strokes gain wise, had beaten everything we'd ever tested, which from our standpoint was remarkable, because we need to tell more golfers about this, because this is a rare gem that you just don't see every day. We obviously wanted to figure out why this worked, and started talking to you more about the technology and things like that. And the technology has just continued to improve. Obviously, everybody on mygolfspy for the most part has now heard about Evnroll, and I think a lot of golfers worldwide have heard about Evnroll at this point. A lot of tour guys are now playing with them in professional tours and across the globe. So moving away from where Evnroll got started in regards to the aha moment, I'd like to go to the 2019 models. You have a model now for everybody. There's, I don't think, a single shape popularity-wise that now you don't have it. From every mallet popular design to every blade to plumber's necks to straight ends to number 9 styles to murdered out. And I want to start with one that's probably the most odd out of the group, but I think potentially one of the coolest.
Yep.
This is a training aid that started back in what year?
2000.
2000. That has resurfaced with the Evnroll tech that when we've messed around in, we've had a prototype of it for a while in here, and it's just always kind of gravitated towards my mind, meaning kind of a couple issues golfers have is having too long of a backstroke. And also in pool, one of the things that I always thought, there used to be a putter called the pool putter. I don't know if you ever remember it. It was a Swedish putter. And the shaft came in through the back, and it kind of gave you a look like you were playing pool from behind, right? So instead of standing directly over top of it, this training aid, which is one of the cooler things I've seen, and it sounds like on tour it's catching some attention.
Away. The training aid is getting put in play.
So the coolest thing about this, which I don't even know what the name of it is.
It's called the Tour Stroke.
The Tour Stroke. The coolest thing about this is not just how crazy this thing looks right out of the gate, but when you first pick it up, almost the first thing that everyone says is this legal? And then when you look at the top of the head cover, it says Tour Stroke. It's legal.
It's legal.
So anyway, I'll let you talk more about this and the purpose of it, but it is really cool. And I think if anybody ever gets a chance to get their hands on this thing just to try it out, I think you should, because the coolest thing about it is even new golfers and good golfers almost instantly get an improved, almost tour type stroke right out of the gate.
That's why it's called the Tour Stroke. And the way it works is that if you look, if you're looking down the shaft, right, and you come down the shaft, you've got all this offset. The head's way over here, so the ball would sit right about here when you set up, and so when you take the putter back, the head's already back, so it doesn't go back as far. When you come back to here, when the shaft gets to where it normally would be, you can't just turn over again. You got to stay square through impact. You got to keep the putter square through impact. And as you go through, you'll have a longer follow through. And so what it does, it instantly teaches, if you've never played golf in your life and you want to try to make a putt, you would have to make the perfect putting stroke out of the gate to make this thing work. So what happens is that people will instantly take it, well gosh, I got to keep going. I got to stay square because I haven't hit the ball yet.
Yeah.
And so by doing that, that's just committing to the line. It's only about 1.25 inches offset, but it's a lot. I mean, I used to make putters for Ray Floyd years ago, and he had a lot of offset, like 5 shafts or so. And he'd have his was longer, 36-inch stand up, but he liked to have that offset. And so you can actually use this as a real putter by actually moving it forward and putting it right behind the ball.
So this, like we said, was a training aid, but was sitting out on tour. Cool story. So they had to find out if this thing was actually even legal.
Yeah, I
no one
got a
could
call
find
from
out.
my tour rep. They didn't have it. The PGA guys didn't have it in the book as conforming, but it had been approved, or not approved, but judged conforming. I think it's the language they want us to use, by the USGA back in 2000.
Yeah, so it was legal.
So it was legal, and a number of players after that played with it. And because of that instant popularity, you don't see this on tour. You don't see guys take something that's just a cast. This is a cast training aid. It's 150. I worked my tail off milling stuff and getting really
This is
fancy.
a $20 cast job.
No, this baby just instantly they understood it.
Yeah.
And so when they put the putter right behind the ball with that offset, it put their hands forward in a forward press without leaning the shaft.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more too in the future. About, I hope we get to it about cast versus forward, or cast versus mill with you. But
that's, yeah. But here's the point: they would put their hands forward in this position of the forward press with that nice angle on their wrist, and just it just made everything very comfortable to putt with. And what also happens is that this putter, having this much offset away from the shaft, well, MOI is usually where you take the head and put it on a disc and it spins back and forth, and you determine the MOI, which is the resistance to twisting. But if you come over here to where the shaft is, and you judge the MOI from the shaft, which we call effective MOI, then the resistance to twisting increases a lot.
You're going to be way higher with
It's
this.
34,000, which is way, way, way up there, because the whole head's away from the shaft. So it's super stable. That's what's really interesting, and that's probably what, tour players love stability because they putt under a lot of pressure, and so they want something that just helps them.
10 feet and in, they gotta be stable.
That's the money putt, and they're thinking all kinds of stuff. So they want something that's right there as their best friend. So we decided to do this. This is milled from a block of steel. This isn't cast. This is done.
So this is the Evnroll version of
this is the Evnroll version. It doesn't have all the lines and
what is this
stuff.
called? Tour Strike as well?
No, the tour. No, this was the Tour Stroke.
Tour Stroke.
Right.
And this is called?
And this is called the ER1 TS.
Okay.
So the TS just ties it to this one because they're both going to be part and parcel of each other, but this is the milled version for the line.
Yeah, so for 2019, that's definitely one of the most interesting. So
and we've discontinued the one.
Okay.
And put this in its place.
All right. Well, let's run through the next one. Which
now the next one is the we introduced the 1.2 with the plumber neck.
Correct.
On the blade. So we've taken the famous 2, the one that's been so good, and we've added a plumber neck to it. So it's got a hollowed out plumber neck. This has got a shorter area right here than here, and tapers a little bit more.
Bumpers.
So what you're doing is you're taking weight out of this part because the hosel adds weight.
Correct.
So now the center of mass is still right dead in the middle.
All right. So basically, that's the ER2 for those that don't remember. That was the original winner of the mygolfspy blade, most wanted putter data test, and this is the newer version, but with a plumber's neck. So the next model that we've got here, what do we got here, Guerin?
Well, okay, this one you've seen before. This is our 5. put the shaft lower bend, a little bit more offset. But we're gonna take this one that we've had in our line, and we're gonna, what do you call it?
They call that murdered out for the
Murdered
young
out.
kids.
Okay, so this is going to be murdered out. It has a black grip. It has a black ceramic coating or armor, whatever it is, coating on the shaft and the head. So it's all black, and it's just really beautiful.
Yeah, so we get tons of requests from our readers on when Evnroll is going to come out with a murdered out version of putters.
Well,
so
here it is. This is going to be our line.
Okay, so is it going to be that model or other models, or just that model?
Just this model.
Just that model.
Just the shaft. The coating is pretty expensive, so obviously it's going to cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's on the milled head. It's got our proprietary black Evnroll grip with the black shaft and the black head.
I have
so
a feeling you're going to get requests for black ones on the other ones as well after
of
this.
course, we already have, yes. And so that's that. And then we have.
Yeah, this is a new shape for this
well,
year.
the ER8 won the Mallet last year, which is kind of a player's type of asymmetrical Mallet head.
Yep.
But this is one that I've taken and done a flow neck on right here, and it's like the Odyssey 7, I think was the old
It's like the
category.
Odyssey number 9.
It's just a player's mallet.
Yeah.
We call it the tour mallet, and it's a player's club, and it takes the same design principle of the 8, but it just tightens it up. It's a little bit more asymmetrical, and the shaft's in the heel, and it's all milled and flowed. It flows right into it, and it's very elegant. And also, so this one incorporates what we've done in all of our putters. If you look at them, you'll see that there is above the cavity. What I do is I take the cavity area and I do a little inset right here, because this gets too thick to run all the way across. As you see on the 5, we have a little inset right over the cavity. So that's kind of a mark that we also keep consistent, and it gives it a nice look behind the ball.
And before we end on the 2019 stuff, can you explain to people the alignment dots and just kind of what the purpose of those is? Because we get a lot of those questions when people come in here and are testing.
Sure.
And it's not something that a golfer is going to encounter every day. Generally speaking, people either see one line, one dot, no line. They rarely see 2 dots, and if they do see them, they don't actually think there's a purpose to them. So if you could explain to golfers out there what the purpose is, if they do own an Evnroll, what it does.
Sure. Okay, so the 2 dots, there's no paint in them. They're meant to be very subtle. And the reason they're there is that they give you, there's a couple reasons. It's a reference point. So if this sight line is in the middle of those 2 dots and the putter's level on the ground, your eyes are directly over the putter. It's a reference for your setup.
Yeah, for eye alignment over the ball.
For eye alignment over the ball. Because the more you're
generally
consistent,
speaking,
you want to be consistent.
You want to be over the ball for the most part.
Right, or a little bit inside.
Correct.
Not past the ball. If I look down and I see that I'm looking down and the sight line is over here, then I'm beyond the ball.
It's tough to do.
That's a bad spot to be when you're putting. It makes
it's tough to do the older you get.
Yeah. But the other thing it does is it makes you be more focused on where you're hitting the ball on the face. If you have a right to left breaking putt, any golfer that's played a lot of golf will maybe hit it a little bit more toward the toe. Well, because that makes it, remember how we talked about the ball going away?
Correct.
Well, that doesn't happen with these putters, but it still makes you, it moves the center of mass inside the ball for this outside dot.
So if you have a right to left breaking putt, which dot do you line it up on?
On the toe dot.
Okay.
And so when you come through impact, you've got more mass on the low side, and it makes you hit the ball on the high side of the line.
Yeah, for those of you that went over like this, just make sure on right to left breakers on the toe, left to right breakers on the heel.
On the heel. Boom. Is that good? Okay, so a little complicated.
We were talking putter nerd talk there for a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
So that's the lineup for 2019, and we have one last thing to kind of talk about in regards to Evnroll and another piece of tech that you're coming out with that, messing around in here. Obviously, we don't have data yet to back it up to see if there's actual improvement. I would just say subjectively, the people that have tested it so far would all say that they notice something is different.
Right.
And you can instantly tell when you go from the exact same putter with one of these on it versus one without it, that there's something going on, you know?
Right.
So it's called the gravity grip,
Right.
and I'll let Guerin kind of explain what it
Okay,
is and what it
so
does.
this is it's got a very deep V here, and the reason for that shape is deliberate. It's called the gravity grip, and it's kind of a parallel shape right here. But what's going on inside there is that we have a weight that runs right on the bottom edge of this down here. Now I have a
I'll hold this up.
Okay, I have one that's cut away here. This is the underlisting, which is the body, and there's a steel rod down here on the bottom, and this part is really light. It's only 35 grams, and this is 70 grams.
Okay.
And this is a ½ inch away from the shaft. It's sticking down here in the very bottom. So what it's basically doing is it's putting weight down in the knuckles below the shaft. And it's creating a sense where because you got a flat spot on top, and you put your hands like this, it's telling you where the face of the putter is with your eyes closed.
So what does it do? At the end of the day, the golfer's going to ask, okay, great, it's
What does
another
it do?
invention. What the hell does this thing do? So
Right,
what
right.
are golfers feeling when we have them in the facility and we just say, this is the exact same putter, try it with this grip, now try it with this grip.
Wow.
What are they feeling,
The
and
instant,
what does it do?
The consistent comment from every single person that tries it is that they can feel the face staying square.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
Right, so the little tagline we put under gravity grip
Yeah.
is stay square longer. And so what that means is that you're getting your square zone. Remember the tour stroke?
Yeah.
We talked about keeping that square zone. That's really important.
For sure.
And so now you can feel that square zone, and we've had incredible feedback from players that have tried it. Be tour players and people that are
So
very high
gravity
level.
grip, like I said, everyone in here noticed there was a difference. They don't even know that the grip has been changed. You just say, putt with these two putters. What do you notice? You know, but when it comes to the gravity grip technology, is this going to be a technology that eventually will be maybe on all grips, or do you see this as just an Evnroll product? What do you think?
Well, we're putting it on ours as an Evnroll product, but we're also this is a separate company. We're actually licensing this to Evnroll, my partner and I.
Gotcha. So gravity grip will be a product that people can get on
This is
any
an
putter.
OEM product. So it has a gravity grip logo. It has gravity grip on the side. We can put different logos on here for different companies. I mean, we're not worried about keeping this for ourselves. Our gig is about the technology on the
Yep.
face. This is just an innovation that I think would help any putter. And I'd love for you guys to put these on like some Pings and some Odysseys and some Camerons. And
obviously the
and
best
just get
way
some
we would do
results.
this test is include it in a long-term study where we take the identical putter
Sure.
and we have one with
With
it
and without,
Correct.
same swing weight, all that kind of
and
stuff.
see what
just-
strokes gain tells
yeah,
us.
see what it tells you, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I think it's so that's something we're launching as well this year. And then we're also launching. We have a new little mini roll board.
Oh yeah, we've got the older version somewhere.
You have the
around
other, which is very big. If you can see this, the velvet that's on here, we brush this way. You start here with the ball, and you would roll the ball, and it would show how the ball rolls coming off of the putter
Basically
face.
tells you if you're getting, good roll.
Well, if you have too much loft, it'll hop.
Correct.
If you don't have enough, it'll be like a snail trail. And if it's just perfect, you'll hit it. It'll come up here, and then and undulate a little bit here, and then peter out and have little dimple marks and show you that your ball is rolling. When you see those dimple marks at the end of that roll, that's the rotation and the forward motion have matched up.
Yeah.
So this is a great way to instantly give you feedback. No playback cameras, no nothing. You can see this. You see how your ball rolls.
So is this
instantly.
thing small enough where you could actually bring it in your bag?
Well, that's the whole point. It's been designed to be. It's 24 inches by 4 inches. It has a case that goes into. It'll have
Yeah,
instructions.
because
on
the other
back.
one was kind of big,
Oh, way big. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was about.
That was for
30
teachers only, kind of where they would put it in a
It
facility.
was made to fit in a FedEx tube, which is 37 inches.
So this goes in one of the.
So this goes in a case, slips in the side of your bag, and you can take it out with you. It's got the two white rails that act as alignment
Oh,
for
okay.
your putter, and it's pretty low profile, so you're not really having to adjust your grip too much. It's very low to the ground. So anyway, we think this is going to be a great product for a lot of golfers to have in their office, at home, take out on the golf course, and we get a big request for fitters. They love this because it just gives people
instant feedback.
It's just organic fitting.
Yeah.
It gives you can see it.
It's visible to the golfer too. That's important.
Yeah, right after you make the stroke, you still got the putter in your hand. You can see the way it rolls.
Yeah, for putters, unlike many other clubs in the bag, where a golfer can go into a golf shop and nowadays get instant feedback like we have in here on Launch Monitor data. There's not that access for golfers for putters.
This is the working man's launch.
There you go. That is a good way of putting it. So that's the 2019 lineup. And once again, just to remind everybody, we're going to be giving away one of these to you guys out there. So make sure to subscribe and comment below and be entered to win. So hopefully you guys understand the technology a little bit better and how the evolution of the groove happened and how it can impact your game. So once again, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the help for all the readers. Next time,